So, Ciaran, first things first, how are you?
I'm very good, very good.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm alright, thanks. What I want to start with is you grew up in Galway.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like to grow up in that place?
Galway it's such a small village, but I always, I think looking back on it now, I'm kind of very grateful that it didn't grow up in anywhere else really, because of the influence that it's had on me, not just as a songwriter or a musician, but as a person basically, because the place, it's so important to me as a place. It's where all my family have been. They've been there for years and years, and there's generations of the family. So, and for me, it's important for me to kind of stay grounded, especially with the way things are going at the minute, and the amount of tours and shows around Europe and the UK, and now I'm starting to head to America. It's really important for me to come home to a place that I can just almost switch off. So it's such a small place, very rural. We're kind of close to the water as well, so I think it has that. Everything operates at a kind of slow level, and there's no kind of hustle and bustle that you would get in the big cities or even in the towns. So I love that. You know, it's a total removal from the other side of life, basically. So and everyone I know, you know, from I was a small child, they all more or less still live there.
Okay.
So.
And then we're right in saying you went and studied in Belfast? Or?
Yeah. I spent a few years in Belfast, and then it was 3 or 4 years, and then I came back home and just recently bought a house. So I'm settled now in Galway, which is, for me, that was probably the most important thing, to have a base that could almost be my own bubble, away from all the madness, or you know, however crazy things get at times. I can always come home and just switch off. Plus, it's one of those places that it's almost impossible to get mobile phone reception, so I can become as invisible as I want to be, you know, whenever I'm at home.
Do you need this a lot, especially now that your music is picking up?
Yeah, I think so. It's almost like a sanity thing, just to kind of to be able to remove myself from that side, from the touring, and even to give me the time to write songs, and because I would write more or less all of my songs at home. So it's not only just a kind of haven for me to get away from, or to be able to switch off at times, but it's also, that's my workspace. Okay. So and I'm used to it now, you know. So yeah, I personally, I find it really important that I can make that change when I need to get away, or when I need some time to think or just digest what's happened. I can go home, because things move that fast, and 1 month becomes another month, and suddenly you've been to all these different cities, and being at home is a kind of good time for me to sit back and then take it all in, and just carry on.
And you say that's a place where you do your work, your writing. Sorry. So when it came to Let Bad In, was it because seeing the subject matter of the songs, was it a very reflective album of your birthplace, but also yourself? Yeah,
I think the older that I've gotten, my songwriting has changed from whenever I was in my early 20s. I used to love writing songs about that typical kind of emotional singer-songwriter, boy meets girl, get your heart broken, and that was my main subject area for a long time. But now I'm kind of in my later 20s, and I think I've become kind of reflective, be able to look back on things now. So the album Let Bad In was, I was kind of writing songs at the time, but I hadn't really packaged anything together. There were just random songs here and there, and I knew at that stage that a lot of the songwriting was a bit more, I suppose, personal based, as in based on my history. rather than about one certain subject. So whenever I started writing, it was purely accidental that these songs all kind of had the same theme. And my uncle, he came down. He was at my parents' house one day, and he had this DVD of a family holiday that we had with my family and his family, and we went to Blackpool over in England, and I was seven or 8 years old, and watched this footage and thought, Jesus, I mean, it's that strange thing where you watch yourself as a child and you're like, I can't remember that person. You have those small memories. Like I do remember things now of that trip, but watching the DVD of this kind of small ginger-haired boy just kind of bouncing around and talking to the camera and stuff, and I was like, I can't. It doesn't feel as if that was the same person, if you know what I mean. But I think that's typical. That people, you grow up and you mature and you get older. But and so as soon as I seen that, I thought, right, this needs to be the theme. This needs to be based around it. So I took whatever songs I had and started to kind of place everything in order. And luckily, a lot of the songs were already written, either from the perspective of me, current day, looking at things that happened when I was a child, or from my perspective as a child, whenever I was going through different things. And I used that home video was basically that was the palette that I used, and I was able to get some of the audio from the home video, and it goes in and out of the album. It comes in and out at different parts. So and that was important for me, because I personally love albums to be a complete one complete work, rather than single. I kind of like it to be just this body of work that represents a certain time. So yeah, that was almost like the glue that I could just put the songs and attach them to, and that kept everything complete, I suppose, I hope.